first Cultivating Careers conversation. I am really excited to have Stacey Agnew, the Executive Director of the Nebraska FFA Foundation, join us. But I wanted to set a little bit of context for why we're doing this Cultivating Careers kind of series, I guess. And these are things that Stacey and I talk about many times. When we are in agriculture, we're constantly talking about, the opportunities that are available for you to be involved in ag and finding your career. And so hopefully this series will help introduce you to professionals to build within your network, to expose you to different kinds of ways of thinking and different kinds of opportunities that don't look like the traditional agricultural, or particularly in the pork industry. So one of the talking points that we often use is there are over 300 careers in agriculture, and farmer and rancher is just one of them. And I will certainly introduce you to some of who I think are Nebraska's best pig farmers, but also a number of other professionals. In that same vein, there are so many opportunities. What do they say the gap is? 58,000 jobs for students graduating, right now for a career in agriculture. So, many times you all are referred to as the future or the next, like you are the right now in agriculture. And so that is my intention by introducing you to Stacey, is to help equip you so that you can have these conversations now with professionals. So Stacey, I would love for you to share your introduction, personally, professionally, and then she's going to share some insight to help us prepare for interacting and shadowing your industry professionals. So thanks, Stacey.
Yes, thanks, Carla, and thanks for inviting me. So my background is I'm originally from the Juanita Palisade area. I grew up on a farm and ranch right east of Palisade and south of Hay Center, if you know where that's at in Nebraska. So I was involved in FFA when I was in high school, and I graduated from the University of Nebraska with an ag education degree. And so I started my professional career as an ag educator. I taught for 5 years. And then I loved teaching. I really enjoyed impacting young people and getting them excited about what a future in agriculture looked like, hopefully. And then I really enjoyed connecting with my community, the people mainly it was the Adams, Freeman area, Adams and Philly area. And so with that, I left teaching and I went to go work in the healthcare industry. I worked for GlaxoSmithKline. I was a senior sales representative, and I sold pharmaceuticals for cardiovascular, diabetes, and heart failure in urology products. So I did that for 8 years. Then that led me, there's lots of challenges sometimes in a career, in a job environment. The economy can hit you alongside of the head, is what I say. So in 2008, when the economy tanked, I was part of a significant downsize with GlaxoSmithKline, and unfortunately lost my job. And I substitute taught for about a year, and then was fortunate to be hired as a recruiter for the University of Nebraska Animal Science Department. That really brought me back to my roots, and was fortunate to then interview as the executive director at the Nebraska Foundation. And so that's where I'm at today. And I really do think this is a very purposeful and meaningful job. I would not have thought that this is where I was going to be at, although I have to laugh. When I was your age, and when I look at what I wanted to be, I would put down that I wanted to be a spokesperson for agriculture. And I kind of guess that's what I'm doing. But really, I'm very passionate about helping young people find career opportunities in agriculture, especially in our rural and urban communities for that matter. But I really think when I was growing up, I was a child of the farm crisis of the 80s, and our parents and our teachers, it was all they could do to tell us to leave. leave and go find something else because whatever it is not here at home. And I just think it's so awesome right now because that culture has completely changed. There's so many organizations, companies, co-ops, ag retailers, animal industry that wants you to be part of our communities all across Nebraska. And so I'm really glad that Kyla asked me to be part of this. Any questions before then I go to the next part, Kyla, or does that sound okay?
I think that's great, Stacey. Thank you.
Okay, good. So the next part I want to talk about is one of the roles that I have at the Nebraska FFA Foundation is we work with industry partners to secure sponsorships to support ag education and FFA in Nebraska. We also work with donors, but more specifically, I want to speak to the work that we do around industry and connecting students with industry. So one of our programs that we facilitate is state officer development for business and industry visits. And so we take a group of 7, typically students that are probably your age where they are freshmen or sophomores in college, and we facilitate week-long opportunities. I would say within their year of service, they each will visit anywhere from 20 to 30 industry partners of the FFA. And we see it on the foundation side as a way of offering an opportunity for our industry partners to connect with future employees, to learn what are young people thinking, to just dialogue with young people who are their future employees. We look at it from the state officer's vantage point of this is a way for them to connect. Typically, they're not going to build long-term relationships in the amount of time that we facilitate the visit. But what it does is it provides them the connection and the tools to potentially begin a longer term relationship if that officer chooses to do that, and if that industry professional chooses to do that as well. It can be a two-way street. So what I want to do today is really talk you through the process of an industry visit. And on the foundation side, what we do is a lot of legwork that I would anticipate, Kyla, when you're working with your pork mentors and students, is that they have to set up the visit. Kyla's not doing that for you. The state officers are fortunate. We take care of that for them. We can make it pretty turnkey and easy for them. So there are some things that I would recommend you would do as far as connecting with them. I always think a phone call, introducing yourself, telling them what is the purpose of your call, and that if you can actually, if they answer the phone, then asking if you can set up a time to meet with them. If you end up leaving a message, you send them an email, and then I would recommend calling them one other time within the next 3 to 4 days, and then do another email. And if you're not getting success there, I would ask Kyla to give you some feedback and some help. I will be honest with you, sometimes it takes several calls for us to be able to even get a visit scheduled with our industry partners, and that's okay. I just think it's probably good to get coaching if you get stuck at that point. So once you have those things set up, it's always important to send send a follow-up email reaffirming the purpose of your visit. And then also at least a week before, it could be a couple days, I try to do a reminder email at least a week. I get pretty busy, and I'll be honest with you, sometimes it's the day before. but in an ideal setting, it would be a week before. Just reminding them of you coming, what time you're coming, what is the purpose of you, what is the purpose and the objective of you being there. So the next thing I'm going to show is what I call as a pre-call plan, where it's just mentally and verbally we talk through with the officers before we go into a visit. Here's what we're going to ask. Here's how we're going to open the visit. Here's what we're going to ask. What are some of the things you want to know after you've researched this company that you want to learn more about? And then we call it bridging the information that is exchanged back with I don't want to say numbers, but I call it key messages, but specific things that are important for maybe the pork producers for you to be able to communicate back out. Does that piece? So can I share a how do I share?
You should be able to, in the middle of the screen there's an up arrow.
Got it. Okay. Ah, good, easy. Boy, that's just like Zoom. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So on this sheet, and feel free to copy, take whatever you need to. So when we go as a team, like I said, we go as a team, but this can still be the same if you're an individual. You need to take control of the meeting. You need to look like you need to be a leader, even if you're scared to death. This is maybe a situation where you are being pushed out of your comfort zone to walk in and meet somebody new who you've just talked to on the phone and communicated for the first time. So, and that's okay. Those are normal butterflies. We all get those. So the first thing is take control of that meeting. When you want to greet them and obviously thank them for being there. I've got some examples here. Thanks for meeting with me this afternoon. I'm so excited to learn more about the Nebraska pork producers. Really excited to also share about my experience serving as a pork youth. I'm not saying it right. A pork youth. That's not mentors.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Mentors. Yes. And so if that sounds good, and you might want to also ask, will there be a tour, because they may have facilities that they want to show you. It's just reaffirming the purpose of you being there. I want to talk to you about these three things, and that this is going to be very beneficial for me in my experience with connecting more with the pork industry. So, and that, I mean, that can be really hard sometimes for our state officers to do that, especially if they haven't. So I would encourage you to even practice doing that with Kyla for that first time, or maybe even another mentor friend. So it really does help if you practice. I know that might sound silly, but if any of you ever did public speaking or you did employment skills contests, these are normal things. We all as adults even have to do this, so it's okay. If you're meeting with several people, as you see, item 3 is make sure everybody gets a chance to introduce themselves. Number 4 is starting with a smart lead-in question. And that may be after everybody's introduced themselves, said kind of what their role is with that organization, is just asking what has been your experience with, if there's a new virus that you're dealing with, you need to do research before you go in, so that you know maybe what is an issue that they're dealing with, or research that they're doing, or some exciting things that are happening with them. So be willing to have a smart question is one that is pretty open-ended. What plans have you made to deal with COVID and your employees during this time? So you see all those 5 examples. You could tack anything onto the end of that and have 1 or 2 be your go-to questions that you utilize. Okay, number 5 is I have on there everyone because we designate somebody on the team as the opener and someone is a closer. But if you're doing this by yourself, you're obviously doing all of it. So with bridging, that next part is where we want you to take topics that would be of interest to you and them and connect it back to the knowledge that you know about the pork industry, what you've learned through the Pork Mentor program. And so hot topics we've consistently seen is growth. Is there growth in that industry? Is there opportunities for expansion? Challenges in the ag economy. When I started with the job, the ag economy is doing really well. So obviously there's some challenges right now. So be willing to bridge those back to what you know. Employee development is always a very easy one to go to because a lot of these folks that you're going to be visiting with are looking for employees. And so asking if they have professional development plans, if they have leadership development, coaching, those types of things. What do they do to help develop that employee, no matter if they're operational folks or if they are management, because those are all really important. And maybe you don't understand the difference between operational jobs and management jobs. You know, those are things to, what does that mean to employees' development? Leadership skills, always a great question. I think knowing that this is a leadership program that you're doing, it's easy to bridge back that this is some of the leadership training that you've done through the Pork Mentor program, whether it's personality training or crisis management, those types of things. If you can bridge those back to this experience that you're having, that's pretty useful. Ag issues, obviously, there's probably some in the swine industry that are unique to the swine industry. Whenever I talk to Kyla, there's always, it seems like there's something new always going on. Shortage of qualified employees, man, that's a hot topic 24/7. So, and then company goals. So those are, just be willing to, I think the part of bridging is letting conversations happen natural. So, and the other piece I have is here, be prepared to take the conceptual to the contextual. So even though you might have an idea or an opinion or a thought about something, when you can take that thought or opinion and apply it to a real world example of what you've had, or maybe someone else you've met of what you've seen them do, or a friend, I think that is, it can sometimes be hard to do in those conversations, but I encourage you to get to that point. And then the next part is to come back and ask questions, ask open-ended questions. And you'll see I have I call them high gain questions. You kind of have to you can't ask these straight out of the gate. But you'll see that I have a list of various different things that will, I think, potentially ask the individual that you're working with. They could probably talk for 10 or 20 minutes on one of these things if you ask the right question. So depending on how long you're there, ours are typically 45 to 50 minutes when we do them. So the closing part, it's important to be very conscientious of everyone's time. And literally the officers use the same line every time. I have to giggle because they're like, we want to be conscientious of your time and respect that you probably have a lot going on. And, and so we want to thank you. Thank you for allowing us to visit with you today, to spend time learning about XYZ. and I want to continue to stay connected with you. So here's a way you can get a hold of me. Here's my business card with my contact information. And then you always want to do a thank you note, my friends. Handwritten thank you notes, I can't say enough of. I don't do them enough. I try to do them often, but a nice handwritten note is, sometimes we get emails, and I think that's okay, but I prefer, I'm a little more old school, where I think that handwritten thank you note is a really nice extra touch that acknowledges their time, acknowledges the information that they shared with you and how much you appreciate that and how that will benefit you, what you're going to do with that information then. So yeah, that's pretty much the summary of it, I would say. So I'm going to stop sharing. Unless, are there any questions off of this? No? Okay. So with that, I think I have seen our state officers, and they have told me this. So it's not, I shouldn't say I've seen, they've told me this, that when they go to career fairs at the university or at a community college, there are typically a handful, maybe a dozen, maybe it could be a dozen of folks that they interacted with during this opportunity. And that's the same opportunity that the pork producers are giving you, is they're giving you contacts. You may engage with them at a career fair. You may engage with them at another pork producer association meeting. And those are things where you need to reintroduce yourself, reconnect with them. And so I know our state officers, it's really fun hearing when they have internships with people that we've met before. One of my favorite ones is Big Iron, which most people, I mean, who would have thought? So Kelly Mashina was really passionate about ag journalism and telling stories with video. And it just cracked me up because she was so excited that we were going to Big Iron. Big Iron is an online machinery auction. And so, but she loved the fact that they would tell stories about these producers who were maybe finishing as being on the farm and ranch. And so they were liquidating through Big Iron. And it took her 2 summers, but this last summer she actually did intern, and she traveled all over the Midwest recording stories about people. And that was because she had made contacts with their marketing, who was in charge of marketing in the St. Ed office. It wasn't the CEO. And that's the other thing. Don't always think that it has to be the CEO and the CFO. It's that management team that really, for the most part, is making those decisions. So it's nice to meet the heads of the organization, but to be honest, the ones that are probably making those decisions on hiring are not going to be, they're going to be more of the management team. So, don't overlook who it is you're meeting with, because the decision maker and the relationship you might need might not be with the CEO. So, yeah. So that's really my advice in career preparation. I feel really confident that the process that we've had with the state officers has helped many of them. And I really do think this experience that you're having through the pork producers can also help you just the same as this experience does for these 7 students. So it really is what you put into it. You have to own it, my friends. You have to decide, this is what I'm going to do. You're going to get in what you put out. So I just challenge you to go out there. It can be hard to decide and have the gut and the courage to go ahead and make that phone call, really a cold call sometimes. So, but you'll do great. That's it. Yeah.
I agree. It's 20 seconds of bravery, really. So, Stacey, when you switched back your office sharing, your video part is muted, so I can't see you.
Oh no!
And everyone else has their video off, I think, for distractions. But would it be okay, Stacey, if we do a little bit of role playing or practicing? Because like you said, practicing with one another can be beneficial. And, maybe Lindsay, Will, and Jacob, like we could just go through and, practice from the beginning, do introductions, or hey, this is Kyla and I'm calling to learn about this, whatever part of it that you would like to practice. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's good. If you guys are okay, this is what we do with the officers. We kind of go around and we break each bit up. Okay. So what company would be an easy one for you guys to go to?
I would say Will and Jacob have the most interest in like production types of careers, and Lindsay has experience in that. So, maybe we could pick a production company, just call it X production company, maybe.
Okay, let's call it
Agnew Farms.
Yeah, Agnew Farms. We'll call it Agnew Farms. Okay. So, okay. And I feel so bad because you guys, I haven't gotten your names. So I've got Lindsay. Who do I have? Lindsay. Is it Kyle?
No, Will.
Will.
And Jacob.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to pick on Will. So let's do a phone call, Will. You're calling me up.
Okay, and just a little warning, I'm in a car right now, so in case you hear any other background noises, that's what it's from.
Okay.
Should I just start whenever?
Yep.
All right. Hello, my name is Will Sonderman. I'm calling you because I'm a member of the 2020 Nebraska Pork Producers Pork Mentorship Program. And as part of this program, we are doing some different shadowing opportunities within the industry. And so I was calling, I forgot the name of the farm, but I was calling you today to see if you'd be open to me either coming and touring some of your facilities, or if you're not comfortable with that during these uncertain times, maybe even doing a Zoom call just to kind of get to know you and get to know your business a little bit better.
Oh gosh, Will. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I think I would be very interested in having you come look at our operation. We're a farrow to finish operation, and we were very safe before, and we are just as safe now. So I think that if I'd be glad to have you come visit. When are you looking at?
I'm available most weekdays throughout the fall, so I'm pretty flexible with that. And currently, I'm actually working at some pig barns right now. So if you did want to do it now or a little bit sooner, do you have any specific downtime you'd like me to do, staying away from other pigs before coming to your operation?
Yeah, yes, that's great. I think, what, is there something during the last week in August that we could do?
That would be perfect for me.
Okay, why don't we shoot for the 25th? About how much time?
Really, that's up to you. It's I'm free I've got pretty free mornings and both afternoons, so I'm okay with whatever works best for your schedule, whether you're busy with breeding that day, whatever, make sure that you can get all your chores done and before having to worry about someone else coming. And it can be, as short as long as possible. I got a couple of questions I'll be asking, just kind of want to get a good look at at how you run your barn on a day-to-day basis and kind of what your long-term goals are with your finishing operation. And so I'll let that up to you, how long you'd be comfortable with me staying.
Well, I think an hour would be good. By the time we walk around, we can talk and I can show you those things. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
I think probably like at 9 o'clock in the morning would be great.
Awesome.
Now, will you send me some information on that, Will?
Yep, I will send you an email after this phone call sometime today. And then I will send you another reminder email the week of, probably 3 or 4 days in advance.
Okay, so my email is Stacey@agnewpigfarms.com.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, I look forward to meeting with you.
Thanks. Me too. Bye. That like totally sounded like a phone interview. That was really good, Will.
Thank you.
So what did you all think? What were some things that were good?
I think he was real, like, super confident in like what he was asking. So like it felt more like a conversation rather than like I don't know, like a timid, like, you know what I mean? Like was very confident, so he like knew what he was doing.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think Jacob's talking, but maybe he's muted or, oh darn. It's really hard to hear you again, Jacob. Still no.
Oh, shoot.
I think we have had microphone issues in the past.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, hopefully he's hearing everything.
Yeah,
So,
I really wanted to lift Will up. I thought you demonstrated great knowledge. Like, I was excited, you know, if I was having somebody call me out of the blue and asking for my time, I want you to know that, or I wanted to know that you were going to be, you know, invested in it enough, and you demonstrated that with really good questions and genuine care too. So very good.
I like that you said that you worked in a pig operation, so that made you legit.
Yeah. And when you take your officers to go to their shadowing experiences, do you have them do like prior research of the company to kind of, so they're familiar with it and familiar with what they do?
Very much so. Yep. They're all responsible for that before we get there. And when we do this pre-call plan, we talk through what is their mission? What did you notice on their website? What do they do? It's really interesting what they, like, because I know so much about them, what they were able to discern from the website versus, and what they think it is with some of the organizations versus, like, they don't really know what it is. I don't know how else to describe it. Like CoBank, which is a bank for co-ops, like that they don't even know that those kinds of things exist. So it's obviously you guys are pretty segmented where it's going to be in the swine industry, so it's not going to be out in left field for you. But yes, answer your question, Will, we do research it and we talk about it. We try to at least do a good 10, 15 minutes before we go in, talking through and knowing what do you want to, what is their mission? What do they do? What interests you? What do you want to learn after what you read on their website? So, yeah, Will, you did a good job. You kind of helped me a little bit too, try to figure out what it was I was representing. So, okay. All right. Well, Lindsay, let's give a shot on, I might share my screen again so you can see the desktop. Well, Lindsay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to pretend that you have shown up now at Agnew Farms. That's my last name. Agnew Farms. That's where we Kelly came up with this, Agnew Farms. So I would like you to try to do an opener where you're greeting me, you talk through the purpose, the benefit, and the check, which is you asking me if all of this is okay, pretty much. Okay?
Okay. Hello, my name is Lindsay Peters. We originally talked on the phone a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm a student at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I'm currently in the Pork Producers Mentorship Program, and I just wanted to talk to you about, like, what we will be doing today. Like, I just wanted to, like, see more about this company and, like, learn more about it and kind of what you do here. If that's okay, to take about an hour or so, like you had said on the phone, but I'm just double checking.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yes, an hour is what I've got scheduled.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, good. Now
then do I kind of?
Yeah. So now
okay.
You'd want to go. to do, what question would you start with? Like, let's say let me just say, well, let's sit down in the conference room, Lindsay. Come on in. Okay, we're sitting down, and so what question are you going to start?
How did your company like get started? Was it more of a family foundation, or was it just you that started it? And what is your company like represent?
Yes, that is a great question, Lindsay. So our company was started. It's a family farrow to finish operation that's been in our family about 30 years. And we have 6 different locations in Southwest Nebraska where we have farrow to finish operations, and each one of my siblings has their own facility, and we provide set out hogs to pretty much the Front Range.
Okay, so like where do you see your company in like the future of the swine industry due to like COVID-19 and that kind of obstacle?
Yeah, it's definitely an obstacle. I think we're fortunate because we are in such a rural part of Nebraska, and we already have to limit due to safety concerns people who are coming on. So I think our biggest concern has been when the packing plants shut down and slowed down. So we've tried to devise ways where we can work, and also with our local Red Willow meats where they can slaughter and also buy pigs from us. And we've also tried to identify other people who can buy them direct to us too. So our hogs they don't die.
Okay, so like did your company do a lot of nutrition selection, change their diets and stuff, or did you like face a lot of that the slaughterhouse like blockage?
We did, and yes, we had a nutritionist that we work with who helped modify the diet so we could slow the rate of gain on the hogs. And then we tried to back off how many, we're farrowing, sorry. So then we quit breeding our sows. So we slowed that down a little bit so we weren't overwhelmed. But it has been a challenge. But yes, feeding, we are really lucky because we have one of my siblings has a nutrition degree. So he's really good at putting together the feed rations for the hogs.
That's awesome. Do you guys have the farm hands on staff, or like how do you hire those kind of people?
Yes, we do have, for the most part, it's family ran, but we have 3 other non-family employees who also work at some of the locations. And they've been with us a long time. It's really important that we have them because they help significantly with our operation.
That's awesome. Okay, so like when since you have a family operation, is there anything that like, what do you like about your having a family operation versus just an operation you'd control by yourself?
Well, it's nice because we own it, and so how we are able to see the benefits of something that we worked hard on, and it's not overseen by a board of directors or there's company profits. It's really, we can make sure that it what we're able to be successful at is based off of what we choose to do, not what we're being told by by a board of directors. So it always has its challenges working with family as well, but I think those supersede working for a larger organization.
Okay. So like I'm interested in like the animal welfare side of things. So, like, what kind of farrowing crates do you guys have? Do you guys have the animal welfare ones that like open up when after the piglets are so old, and so the sow can turn around, or do you guys have like traditional like farrowing crates?
I think we have the first ones you talked about.
Okay. So how have you seen like your sows adapt to those differently than what they had before?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that one. You got me, Lindsay. I'm like, I don't know. I think they adapted fine. That is a great question, Lindsay.
We actually tried that at the university once, and they just, I don't know if it makes sense. They seem happier, if that makes sense at all. Like, they just seem better, and then you can see like what mothers are like more tender, like towards that, like show them more of the motherhood than what the other ones do.
Okay. So you work at the university sometimes?
Yes, I do. I work under Professor Benny Moat.
Okay. Good. He does a good job. So what?
Yeah, I love working for him. He's like shown me everything there is.
Good. So tell me what is your experience as far as with the pork industry?
So I guess before I was born, my dad had a farrowing to finish operation. So I mean, I learned about like some of the stuff he did before, but since the hog market crashed when I was little, he got out of it. Yeah. But I guess I just kind of had a little bit of a show hog in like showing pigs and stuff. But not a lot. And I was kind of thought I was a cattle girl until I started working for a swine professor. So I got kind of involved in a class I was taking that was a very hands-on in class. And our main project was farrowing out pigs. And then I was looking for a summer job, and I was told that Dr. Moat had some openings. So then I started working for research, and now I've been working in the UNL swine research facility. So that's been lots of fun.
So what have you been researching? Have you been doing genetics, or are you doing feeding?
I've been doing genetics. I actually had applied for a UCARE project, which is like an undergraduate research experience.
Okay.
And I did examining the phenotypic traits of sow longevity.
Cool. Wow.
So we like videoed sows throughout their whole lives up to parity for wean, and measured their phenotypic traits, like how long their body is, their rump slope, things like that, and seeing if there was if there was a significant impact and trend in certain sows to pick from at selection. So you knew not to pick the ones with like terrible structure. So
wow, that's really interesting. So I think I feel like you should be the one giving me the tour of the facility.
Oh, no, definitely not. I have so much more room to learn. I'm a question asker, so I'm always like, why this?
Yeah, Lindsay, you were gonna be just fine then when you do these. I think the thing is just getting yourself, and once you get there, you'll be fine.
So, okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's do a close, Lindsay. Let's pretend that we've toured the facility and we've been here. It is now like right at 55 minutes. So how would you close?
Thank you, Mrs. Agnew, for letting me tour your facility today. I really appreciated learning all about your farm, and I look forward to letting other people know what kind of great business you run here. And I have learned so much today, like how you use the new farrowing crates versus the old ones, and how that will very impact the swine facilities. So thank you so very much for letting me meet with you today. I will be contacting you via email thanking you, and you should be receiving a thank you card in the mail. So thank you so very much.
Shaking hands. Good job, Lindsay. That was really good. You guys both did great. Now, poor
thank
Jacob.
You.
We can't hear Jacob. Is he still?
He is still there, but yes, our audio is not going to be supportive.
That's okay. Okay. Well, okay, Lindsay, feedback, if you love to ask questions, you're just going, I loved how you bridged really naturally to, well, even just throwing out when you talked about the university. I mean, it obviously helped that I asked a question. You want to get to that point, but it really helped it be more contextual because now I know more about you, and I just think that's where you want to get to. Now, one thing unique that you guys get to have that the state officers don't, if you're just doing visits one-on-one, like you can build a nice relationship with these people. So I guess I tell the officers, don't think you're going to, because there's so many of them that are in there at once, it's just hard. But I think in these cases, you guys should be able to do a good job of that. So great job on opening and, bridging. You brought in COVID, you brought in the slaughtering issues. Those were all very relevant. So Kyla, is there anything else you want to give her feedback on?
I would echo all of those positive things, and just knowing what I know about Lindsay, I was like, why isn't she talking about her UCare project yet? So it was almost like the tone or the I don't even know, but you could tell that it elevated the experience as soon as she talked about her research and her UCare project. And your experiences are so valuable and people are excited to hear about that. And that just, again, gave some of that context to connect with. You were doing fine before that, but it just took it to the next level. It was so cool to hear it. I have exclamation points by UCare.
Yeah, UCare is pretty awesome. I think if you had somebody that was knowledgeable about pork and enough, more than me, and knowledgeable just about the university and that professor, and I think I know, having worked in animal science, that you got your genetics and your repro phys and your nutrition people, where I don't know if somebody would know that much unless they were already connected with the university. You know what I mean? That's how it's broken down into that segment. So I thought it was good. Really good.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Will, do you want to try? We got about 9 minutes left. I think we could probably do a quick one. Don't you, Kyla?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So we're gonna just do like what Lindsay did, asking about the the week of kind of reminder call. Is that what we're doing?
Nope. So I want you to pretend that you just walked into the facility, and you're gonna greet me. You need to have an opening question. So you're gonna open. You're gonna talk to me about why you're there, what you want to get out of it. Temp check, and make sure that's okay with me. And then start with an opening question. So then we're just gonna continue to have a conversation, okay?
Okay. And just as a warning, I'm kind of getting in a spotty area reception just in case it cuts out a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Hi there, I'm Will Sonderman. We had spoken on the phone a couple of times about this meeting we had today.
Hi, Will. Glad you're here.
So I'm in as I mentioned, I'm in the pork producer mentorship program, and we are doing, and this is one of my shadowing experiences. So my purpose here today is just kind of get a feel for your operation, get maybe some of your knowledge in the industry and about your years of experience, and just and then hopefully develop a nice professional relationship that we can continue on as the industry progresses. And so my first question is, how long have you been involved in the pork industry?
So stop before you do that and ask me if that's okay. Does this sound okay?
Oh yes, sorry. Does this sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds okay. I've got, it's only gonna have to be like 10 minutes though, Will. I ended up getting a call that I needed to go run and do something, so I don't have the whole hour. So is that okay?
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So how many years have you been in the pork industry?
I've been in the pork industry about 30 years. Our family operation has been going on longer than that, but I've been in the industry about 30 years. Yep.
Okay. How many sows do you farrow? Do you have in your farrowing barns?
We have 100. Do you hear me?
Nope, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Nope, we have 100.
Okay.
We have 100. Is that a lot?
And,
Is that a lot? Is that a lot?
Okay.
Yeah. No.
It's a good size for a family operation.
Okay.
And so with your breeding, do you do where you farrow, try to aim for a window of farrowing, or do you kind of spread them out throughout the year, or do you try and do as many close together as possible?
I think it's more beneficial if we try to spread them out over the year, over the year, so that we have a consistent amount to fill all the finishing barns that we have.
Okay. And as far as the finishing standpoint, do you have your own, like, are you a nutritionist or someone like that works with your operation a nutritionist, or do you have to kind of third party that information?
Well, I like to work with the University of Nebraska. I think they have some really good nutritionists with their extension office. And so, and they also at Lincoln, I like to follow what they do. And so, I would say we do our own, but we follow what the university is doing.
Okay. Walk me through what a pretty typical day is in one of your barns.
Oh, that's a great question, Will. Good job. So in the morning, we're checking the sows to make sure their temperatures are okay, they're comfortable. If there's any that have come into heat, we AI them. If there's any that are ready to give birth, we're monitoring that very, very closely. We have cameras on, making sure the feed's clean, the water's clean. And then in the finishing barns, oh my gosh, I'm totally making this up. In the finishing barns, we're doing the same thing. We're checking the feed, the water, the temperatures, looking for sick animals. If there's any rounds of, if there's any that are sick, we're moving them to another location and we're treating them appropriately. Yeah, so that's about how our day goes. It takes all day long.
Yeah, I can imagine. Sounds like a pretty busy day. I was gonna. So, where do you take all of your finishing hogs to? What packing plant do you go through?
Well, we take them to Cargill in Fort Morgan. I just made that up. I have no idea if there's a hog finishing in Fort Morgan, but I'm gonna say there's one in Fort Morgan, Colorado. Okay.
And with all this coronavirus, all the things that have happened because of it, were they shut down for any length of time, and did that affect you if they were?
Yeah, they were shut down, and we had to change some of the rations of what we were feeding them. We did not have to euthanize any of our hogs, fortunately. We did have the local Red Willow meats did buy some from us, and so that helped a little bit with that lag, but Fort Morgan didn't shut completely down. It just slowed down. So, but it was a little scary there. And I know other folks had to deal with euthanizing hogs, and that's really sad and unfortunate.
Yeah. And because of, what that experience was, what we had to go through, do you now have a plan in place for, say, something similar to happen again, so that you're a little bit better prepared and ready?
Man, you must be going through the hills. Yes, we're definitely, we have a a better strategy around until we've slowed down a little bit on what we are doing specifically as far as farrowing. Slow down just a little bit.
That at all?
Oh gosh, you're really lagging. All right, Will, I think we need to wrap it up because I have to go have another meeting. So Will, now you need to close.
Yeah, I am.
Oh golly. Yeah, you're not. Well, here, Will, I'll give you feedback. You're very easy to have a conversation with. I think when you're going to be there on site, you are going to have a whole bunch of questions to naturally ask them. I would make sure at the beginning that you temp check what you intend to do when you're there so that they agree on that, and then make sure you have questions ready for them. But you'll be great. You did fine. You're knowledgeable already, that I feel like it's hard to sometimes maybe have a conversation because I don't know as much about work as what you all do. So, but I think you'll do just great, Will. All right, Miss Kyla. Yeah, you'll do good. Anything, Kyla? Anything else?
Yeah. You had said maybe having a go-to question that you could easily get somebody to talk for 15 or 20 minutes. And I actually learned this with FFA is asking, what advice do you have for me? People like to be thought of as an expert or, to offer support. People would be glad to share that. So that would be always my go-to. And
Absolutely.
You get to take it or leave it. Someone can share it and you can like it and that's great. Or you can think, well, that's not for me, but thank them for sharing that advice anyway. So that's my favorite go-to question that I learned from my time with FFA. So I do want to go ahead and wrap this up though now. So I wanted to tell Stacey, thank you so much for sharing your time and for being an advocate for, helping prepare students. And that has gone over the span of your career in your time as a teacher, and then the continuation of that through, the students that are serving as state officers, and then even, through the students that you're interacting with outside of that. So thank you so much. And for being a good sport and a role model as a professional in agriculture. I will share your contact information, Stacey, because you can expect thank you notes as well as hopefully further communication. And I hope that you all, welcome Stacey into your network. Should you need anything, she has, a great web to connect with others. So thank you, Stacey.
Good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kyla, for inviting me. I'm honored to be asked to be able to do this. I really am. This is fun. So yeah, it's nice to connect with young people this way. So thanks for allowing me to do this. This was great. You guys will do great.
I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. TGIF, everybody. Bye.
Bye.